Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Everyone's coming.
Amen.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Agnes. How are you?
Hello. Hello. I'm fine. Nice to see you all. I'm just going to give it 1 minute and
Bonjour.
welcome everyone to the Mouvement, Laudato Si movement third national gathering. We have about 20 people in the room and people are streaming in, but I'm going to pass it to Anna right now for instructions on how to hear the meeting in the language of your choice. So she's going to tell you how the interpretation works.
Great. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. It is wonderful to be with you. Um, we are very excited to have Ingrid with us today to help us with interpretation. So, if you go to the bottom of your screen, you should have should look something like this. It might look different depending on what Zoom update you're at, but look for this globe that looks like an Earth or like a globe with those crossbars. It might be under more. So if you see more with 3 dots, that might be where it is. Go ahead and click that globe. It will pop up and offer you English or French. Please select the language that you are most comfortable in. If you speak both fluently, feel free to just stay on the general channel, but pick the one that you would like to most listen within, and Ingrid will be wonderfully offering us interpretation. I'll pass it back to Agnes.
Great. Thank you. We can hear you. That's great, Ingrid. Thank you. So, welcome everyone to this third national gathering. And I'm thrilled that you're being here with us on Pentecost weekend. Your presence is instrumental in shaping our movement here at home. We are very thankful for the availability of technical software that makes this a truly Canadian experience. And we're also grateful for the support of the Laudato Si movement, Anna Johnson and her North American team who have generously shared their Zoom platform and expertise with us. I also want to thank Ingrid Lafort, our interpreter this afternoon. I'd like to thank Faith in the Common Good and our new executive director, Victor Reyes, for enabling MLSM Canada with the website that we use and administrative support. We're also thankful for up to 13 volunteer breakout room facilitators. I wish to thank Bishop Martin La Liberté. We will play a video of his greeting to us shortly, and Dr. Lorna Gold, who is the executive director of the Laudato Si movement globally. I also want to thank our primary presenters, Saskia Atunez Pineda and Genevieve Gallant, staff members from the Office of Religious Congregations for Integral Ecology. And finally, towards the second half of our meeting, 5 regional spotlight reporters will tell us about what's happening in their regions of Canada. Denise Leret will speak from her place in Moncton, New Brunswick. Michelle Fish will speak from near Sherbrooke, Quebec, in the town of Brompton. Bill Carruthers will speak from Port Colborne, Ontario. Mary Cordero from Hamilton, Ontario. And Margaret O'Donnell will speak to us from Victoria, British Columbia. We offer a very special welcome and are greatly honored to be accompanied today by Father Vincent Susayam Minakam. He is the Executive Co-Secretary for the Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Commission of the Union of Superiors Generals and International Union of Superiors Generals in Rome, Italy. Very welcome to everyone here. And now, Anna, if you could move to the slide with our prayer, our opening prayer. I'll ask everyone to mute yourselves, but please read along with me in this prayer. Praise Sorry, please start. Sign of the cross. Praise and thanks be to you, creator of the universe, for the beauty and variety you have given us. As seasons change, the colors of the woods, countryside, and meadows also change continuously and bring joy to our eyes, along with new scents, even for those who cannot see. How marvelous the perfect mechanism that you thought of, one of an orderly and joyful coexistence, and with so much responsibility for the beings you created in your own image and likeness. From the heights of the snowy peaks and from the depths of the abysses of the cerulean seas, everything sings the greatness of God, our Creator. Laudato Si, our Lord. Amen. So with this prayer, it situates us within our place within all of creation. And this being Pentecost weekend, we also call on the graces of the Holy Spirit to be part of our meeting today. Can we move ahead to the land acknowledgement, please? So, Mouvement, Laudato Si Movement Canada, with faith in the common good, acknowledge that our projects from coast to coast to coast are on traditional territories of diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. These nations live in a deep reciprocal relationship with not only the land and the waterways, but also with the physical and spiritual forces that connect them to their place of creation in an intimate and meaningful way. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live, work, and thrive together. We seek to live with respect, peace, and right relations, and are mindful of broken covenants. By making a land acknowledgement, we are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage, which dates back over 10,000 years. So now, I know many more people have come in since Anna gave the instructions about interpretation. So she can give that once more, and then we'll hear from from Bishop La Liberté.
Wonderful. Thank you, Agnes. So, just again, if you would like to have interpretation, go ahead and go to the bottom of your screen. It should look something like this. It might look a little different depending on which device you're joining from or version of Zoom, but either clicking more or you might just have this interpretation globe already showing. Go ahead and click on that interpretation and up should pop English or French. Select which language you'd like to listen to this call in, and if you'd like to listen in both, if you're fully fluent in both, you can not select either and ignore this instruction, or go ahead and click whichever one you'd like to listen in. Thank you. If you have any questions with it, go ahead and send me a chat.
Anna or Ingrid, there is some people experiencing some echo. Do you have any advice in
It
that
seems
regard?
that it's fixed now. She left and came back. Thank you for your persistence. And so I think it's all right. If there continues to be echo, go ahead and send me a message.
Yes, I can hear you fine. Okay, so to introduce Bishop Martin Laligbatin, he is a member of the Society of Foreign Missions of the province of Quebec, and in 2022, he was appointed Bishop of the Diocese of Trois-Rivières by Pope Francis. And this past February, he became coadjutor Bishop of Saint-Jean-Longueuil. Bishop La Liberté is president of the Quebec Conference of Catholic Bishops. And in October last year, with Bishop John Hanson, he attended COP30 in Brazil with development and peace, and was commissioned by the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops to represent them in Brazil. So we can move ahead, and Anna, if you could play his message.
Chers amis, chers frères et sœurs en Jésus-Christ, vous qui êtes membres du mouvement Laudato Si Canada, il me fait plaisir de vous adresser ces quelques mots à l'occasion de votre troisième rencontre nationale. Vous avez pris conscience qu'il est important de prendre soin de notre maison commune et tout aussi important de prendre soin de nos frères et nos sœurs. On ne peut séparer ces deux dimensions de notre mission de baptiser, notre mission de construire le royaume de Dieu. C'est une partie intégrante de l'évangélisation, de l'annonce du royaume, que de prendre soin de la terre et prendre soin des personnes. Je demande au Seigneur, à l'occasion de cette fête de la Pentecôte que nous célébrons cette sainte semaine, de vous donner le courage, l'audace, de continuer à travailler pour que notre monde soit de plus en plus à l'image de ce royaume de Dieu que Jésus est venu nous annoncer. Prenons soin de notre maison commune. Prenons soin les uns les autres et demandons à l'Esprit Saint qu'il nous guide et nous éclaire. Et je demande à Dieu qu'il nous bénisse, le Père, le Fils et le Saint. Une bonne, belle et fructueuse troisième rencontre nationale du mouvement Laudato Si Canada.
Fantastic, and so blessed to have Bishop Martin La Liberté sent his greetings to us. And now we have greetings from Ireland. Dr. Lorna Gold has one of the most important roles in terms of the promulgation and dissemination of Laudato Si. In February of 2025, Lorna was appointed Executive Director of the Global Movement. Lorna, along with Thomas Insua and several others, was co-founder of the Laudato Si movement in 2015. Her early career achievements with Trocare Ireland and advocacy work with United Kingdom Catholic bishops have secured some of the earliest diocesan commitments to fossil fuel divestment. She also is co-founder of Faith Invest UK. She's worked with the Vatican to produce the film The Letter and is a tireless advocate on the global stage for the integral ecology goals of Pope Francis and now Pope Leo XIV. Here is her message to us.
Hi everybody, all my friends in the Canadian chapter. I wanted to send you a little greeting. Anna told me yesterday that you are going to be having a chapter meeting this weekend, and I just wanted to send you all my love as you're thinking about the next steps for the Canadian chapter. You know, the past few months have been quite amazing for our movement. It's become really clear that this transition to Pope Leo taking on such an important role in the world with his courage and his moral voice, and within that our movement has such an important role to play. We felt the encouragement of Pope Leo to go ahead, including last weekend when he gave us a very special greeting at the Angelus on Sunday, encouraging us all to recommit to integral ecology. And I've had such a wonderful time the past week, being with the whole team, including Anna, in Rome to do strategic planning for the movement as a whole. And over the past months, we've gathered together all your reflections, all the views of the animators, the chapters, and it was incredible to look at the harvest of all the work that's been done over these past few years amidst so many problems. Honestly, we know how many issues there are and challenges, but despite all of that, but maybe also because of it, because of the situation in the world, our movement is really blossoming. So last week when we were in Rome, it was a chance to listen to each other, to discern very carefully what the Holy Spirit is calling us to, because we're so conscious that this is something bigger than us. We're really able to go forward in as much as we stay true to that mission, that charism that is underpinning Laudato Si, the charism that Pope Francis had in spades and shared with us so generously when he was alive. And we'll share all the fruits of our discernment in the next short while. But I wanted to say that on the Friday of our meeting, Anna, myself, Christina, and a few others had such a strong urge to go to the tomb of Pope Francis. And for me, it was one of the standout moments of our week to go to Mass there and to bring everything to him and to place all our worries, our concerns, our joys, our hopes for our movement into his care and intercession. And I can tell you, if you need things for your chapter, ask Pope Francis to intercede for you. He is really so alive in our movement. His spirit is so alive, and he, I'm sure, is guiding our steps from up in heaven. So have a wonderful meeting, and I hope I can see some of you soon at some point. And let's go ahead together. The problems are always there, the challenges are always there, but we are really called to live into this moment with Pope Leo, with all of our animators, and to really help to heal this world. Take care.
Thank you so much, Lorna, for such a beautiful message. And yes, keeping Pope Francis in our hearts and knowing that he's guiding everything we do, I think is a comfort to me, and I hope it is to all of you. And goodness, it's not only Lorna that joined us on that call. So many birds, creation is alive around her. So this was also a beautiful part of the message. And now I'll pass it to Anna, who's going to talk a little bit more following Lorna's message about the global context of our movement. Anna.
Thank you so much, Agnes. And truly, it's wonderful to be with you all today. My name is Anna Johnson. I'm the Director of North America for Laudato Si Movement, and it is a great gift to get to work with Agnes and the Canadian chapter with all of the amazing work you're doing. I'm going to advance the slide here, and we have one more message that Lorna spoke to, one more recorded message from a dear friend of the movement, Pope Leo himself. This happened last Sunday from his normal Sunday Angelus, and the language will be in Latin or Italian. I don't speak either, but there will be English subtitles on the bottom, and thank you, Ingrid, for the interpretation into French.
Da oggi a domenica prossima si svolge la settimana Laudato Si, dedicata alla cura del creato e ispirata all'enciclica di Papa Francesco. In questo anno giubilare di San Francesco d'Assisi ricordiamo il suo messaggio di pace con Dio, con i fratelli e con tutte le creature. Purtroppo, in questi ultimi anni, a causa delle guerre, i progressi in questo campo sono stati molto rallentati. Perciò incoraggio i membri del movimento Laudato Si e a tutti coloro che lavorano per un'ecologia integrale a rinnovare l'impegno. La cura per la pace è cura per la vita.
So, to hear an encouragement for Laudato Si movement from the Pope himself, we've come such a long way. For those of you on this call who have been working for Care for Creation within the Catholic Church for so long, it feels very inspiring to be hearing this and to know that we are part of the heart of the message from the very top of the hierarchy all the way, and it's been motivated and moved by grassroots. So, in the book of Esther, little known book among many Catholics, Esther is a young Jewish girl chosen to be married to a Persian emperor. However, there are people who have aligned themselves closely with the emperor who have evil intentions, including to wipe out her entire people. In the midst of this moment, Esther's uncle comes to her to ask her to thwart these plans and save her people. She resists because it involves great sacrifice for her. Success is not guaranteed. And she says, like, why me? Why do I need to save our people? Yet he pushes her, recognizing her unique privilege in this moment to move towards action And he says, who knows? Perhaps you were made for just such a time as this. Our current times are not easy ones. As Pope Leo named, we are overwhelmed with wars, outbreaks of terrifying diseases, rocketing grocery store prices and cost of living, an explosion of artificial intelligence, which is being treated as an alternative to our magnificent humanity, and increasing animosity between our neighbors. It's easy for me to feel terrified about the world that our children are growing up into. But at the same time, perhaps we were made for just such a time as this. As we listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, which Pope Francis impelled us to do in Laudato Si, we can hear that our ecological systems are breaking down. Through the cries of species on the brink of extinction, our movement members in the Philippines being hit by 4 typhoons in 10 days last December, you can see their pictures here. Our young people crying out in anxiety and fear about the world they are inheriting, and the ways that we're seeing disease rip through forests that connect me to you in British Columbia across our human-made borders within the same bioregion. The science and the faith is clear. We need to rapidly and justly phase out fossil fuels. It may feel scary to say this. In a world where so much of our lives are so deeply intertwined with fossil fuels, but we also clearly know that if we do not move away from them, the lives of our people are at stake. Perhaps we were made for just such a time as this. You are a part of a movement. Whether you've been an animator for years or you're just coming to this call for the first time or anything in between, we are active in over 140 countries around the world with over 20,000 certified animators, all working within their local communities to move us towards this sustainable future, one in which we celebrate and rejoice in God's creation and have justly transitioned away from these fossil fuels. Luckily, we do not have to stand alone as Esther did. We are making these moments of prophetic witness happen. We are moving our systems and our way of life to be more in line with the hope that God has for us. We are joining together to uphold this culture of life. Look at all of these pictures, some of which are from Canada, some of which are from Trinidad and Tobago, East Africa, the United States, around the world. As we join together to uphold this culture of life, we know that we stand with thousands of years of Catholic history and tens of thousands of people behind us. From the children doing school projects all the way to the Pope. Each of us together. Who knows? Perhaps we were made for a time such as this. I'll pass it back to Agnes.
Thank you, Anna. In my view, I don't think perhaps. I think we absolutely were made for this moment. I'm going to take a little bit of time to describe the movement in Canada. Some of you may be joining us for the first time, and some have taken part in many webinars with our Canadian chapter. Mouvement, Laudato Si Movement Canada began in September of 2019. And with this national gathering, we're celebrating nearly 7 years of service. We exist because of a memorandum of understanding between the Global Secretariat of the Laudato Si Movement, who in the early days were called the Global Catholic Climate Movement, and with Faith in the Common Good, a national faith-based charitable organization devoted to helping spiritual communities realize their aspirations to live more sustainably, reduce negative impacts on the natural world, and to educate the broader communities where we live and work. And next slide, please. We follow the same pillars of engagement as the global Laudato Si movement. They are encouraging an internal transformation through deepening an eco-spiritual dimension to our lives, leading by example through changing our lifestyles, and a commitment to transformation of our society through public policy discussions. In Canada, we add a fourth pillar, that of intentional efforts of reconciliation and relationship building with Indigenous peoples. Next slide, please, Anna. Many dedicated Laudato Si animators are bringing knowledge of Laudato Si and the ecumenical season of creation to their parishes and communities. Laudato Si circles, creation-centered prayer services, book readings, diocesan and parish creation care ministry teams, liturgical support, animator of animators who mentor. This year, 25 new Laudato Si animator trainees. And there's also educational and social engagements activities that abound across Canada. Together, we're experiencing greater support from individual bishops. Your persistence is bearing fruit, and you are the strength of our movement. Next slide, please. Faith in the Common Good, within whose website Laudato Si movement lives, and we are part of Faith in the Common Good as a project of theirs, was founded on the beliefs that diverse religious and spiritual communities can be powerful role models for the common good. As people of different traditions, we affirm common values of peace, participation, human rights, ecological interrelationship, eco-sustainability, and compassion for all beings as cornerstones of a healthy society. Faith in the Common Good is a national interfaith charitable network with leadership, board, and staff that reflect the religious and ethnic diversity of Canada. With local partners across Canada, Faith in the Common Good hosts a wide variety of practical, educational, and spiritual programs that encourage, among other things, faith-building energy efficiency and audits that now also include community resilience indicators. They help with faith sector support for clean energy and active transportation, building community resilience through extreme weather initiatives, and much more through programs like Greening Sacred Spaces, Faithful Footprints, Enviro Muslims, and MLSM Canada. Next slide, please. With this slide, I want to tweak your minds towards what's happening globally in terms of a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. Our guest speakers will delve into this a bit more in depth, but I want you to know that movement is happening there. And in my view, we as Canadians have a very special role to play from our place of privilege and, the development of our country, where pollution is part of the byproduct of how we have become great in our country. So I would like to move ahead one more slide, and I will introduce our next speakers. Saskia Antunes Pineda and Genevieve Gallant are from the Office of Religious Congregations for Integral Ecology. And that office brings together more than 24 Catholic religious congregations across Canada to strengthen their collective advocacy for social and ecological justice from an integral ecology lens. Their work includes public policy advocacy with members of Parliament in Ottawa and locally, that is, in the ridings of their congregation members, public campaigns, education, and international advocacy through coalition work. And now I pass this along and welcome Saskia and Genevieve.
Thank you so much, Agnes. Thank you for the invitation to share a few reflections from our experience in Belém, Brazil at COP30. Seems like a while ago now, but we hope it offers something helpful for our going work together. So maybe if we can move on to the next couple slides. Thank you. Thank you. So our reflections today will come from three lenses. One is to share with you what COP30 revealed about power and participation in terms of civil society and other actors involved in the process of COP30, but also why faith communities matter and its presence matters in these climate spaces in terms of the advocacy we can bring, the framework, and the solidarity with communities at the front line of climate crisis. And lastly, we're going to get into where momentum is growing globally in terms of the second conference, transition away from fossil fuel in Santa Marta, Colombia, and what's coming up for the year 2027, and what we can do together in terms of advocacy. So if we move on to the next slide. So I will begin briefly, just setting a little bit of the context with a few COP30 outcomes before moving into further reflections on how to move in the next steps. So as you can see in the picture, COP30 was held in Belém, Brazil, in the Amazonia, at the 10th year anniversary of the Paris Agreement, bringing global climate negotiations in one of the world's most biodiverse and climate vulnerable regions. So it had a symbolic meaning as well. So holding COP30 in the Global South also reshaped the agenda, and in a way, it boosted civil society participation. We noticed more presence from indigenous leaders, youth, faith communities, and grassroots organizations. So alongside the official negotiations, Brazil also hosted the Cúpula de Povos. If we move on to the next slide, we have some pictures there, which is the People's Summit that gathered around 30,000 participants in about 1,100 organizations committed to climate action. It also resulted in the adoption of the People's Declaration, which was also handed to the COP30 presidency. When Genevieve and I were in Belém, we also witnessed indigenous mobilization in the streets of Belém, very close to the venues. And we heard later on that this also prompted a victory with the Brazilian government, who announced that no projects will proceed on the Tapajos River without free, prior, and informed consent. So additionally, at COP30, for the first time, there was a coordinated Catholic presence, bringing Laudato Si framing to finance loss and damage and justice demands in that space. Genevieve was actually advised to provide some advice to the Vatican in a number of issues related to policy. And we also worked with the Ecclesial Network Alliance, where the church is being organized and mobilized by BIOM. So we have the opportunity to meet with groups from Oceania, Great Lakes, in the regions of Africa and the Amazon. We move on to the next slide, please. One major victory was at COP30, the approval of the Belém Action Mechanism, BAM, one of the strongest right-based just transition frameworks that was adopted at COP30 to recognize human rights and labor rights, rights to a healthy environment, indigenous consent, and the protection of marginalized communities. Move to the next slide. There was also a growing international call for at least 120 billion annually in adaptation finance from developed to development countries. We'll move to the next slide. So in terms of reflections, despite the growing pressure from civil society in more than 80 countries, the major thing of negotiations on fossil fuel phase out still struggle to reach meaningful consensus. COP30's decisions are made by consensus, so if one country opposed, we cannot move forward. So producer countries and petrostate resisted stronger commitments, and more than 1,600 fossil fuel lobbies were accredited at the negotiations. And the final COP30 text ultimately omitted any concrete fossil fuel phase out. So COP30 really highlighted both the promises and the limitations of these global spaces and climate negotiations. Although these spaces help us to engage in dialogue and advocacy, They also expose corporate interest inequalities in terms of participation. Petrostates and demonstrate more presence in these spaces. And economical power can stall progress, particularly in this topic of fossil fuels phase out. So this is why we think that in this context, faith communities and civil society has a vital role to play, because we bring forward a broader vision of climate justice, one that is rooted not only on the talks of emission reductions and finance, but also in equity, dignity, and solidarity, especially with the communities more impacted by climate change. So, interestingly enough, Genevieve and I witnessed how inside the venues there was constant language about urgency and ambition in climate leadership, and yet the presence of the people most affected by the climate change within the venue of COP30 was quite limited. As you see in the picture, many indigenous leaders and global South delegates outside the negotiation rooms were constantly defending slogans like simple language, real solutions. That just stuck in my mind, right? And they were speaking about how amid the complex language used in international negotiations, really we have to remind ourselves that justice is not really found in technical terms, but in the living realities of the people most affected by the climate crisis. And within that as well, I would like to mention that that came a reality for us, especially when we interacted with Global South delegates in the taxis, on the lineups, and so on, where they spoke about how the power structure that shaped climate negotiations is still reflecting colonial and extractive logics. I will share with you, for example, a comment during a casual encounter in Belém. I was reminded by a Brazilian woman traveling in a taxi, and she said to me, "Oh, well, you know, they come here to talk about climate finance, and the mines are still here." Same when we talk with the sister of St. Joseph of Brazil. They were telling us, you are our voice there. You're the voice of religious in that space, in the blue zone. The blue zone is where you see the official negotiation happening in the picture. She said, because we can only access the green zone, which is where basically the local organizations have their kiosks, right? And lastly, same with when you see the space that pavilions, country pavilions take, like Canada has its own pavilion. Wealthy countries have basically captured most of the space there because they can afford the high cost to have a country pavilion. I'm from Honduras, and I kind of wasted like an hour trying to find a Honduran pavilion, realizing that they were not there. So to me, these contradictions sometimes are frustrating, but I think we need to take heart and remember that even when at times these COP30 processes are so big and it feels frustrating, they still remain one of the few global spaces with civil society, faith actors, indigenous people could come into conversation. So our job is really to take that space fully and to know that participation matters. And this, I think, makes it harder to ignore what's really missing from these climate decision-making processes. If we move to the next slide. And we took that space as ORCI. I think we took the space as an important moment because we met with Canadian government representatives in multiple occasions during the first week of COP30, including the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Honorable Julie Dabrusin. And we met with several others that you see in the picture, Honorable Stephen Guilbeault, which is the former Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture, Bloc Québécois MP Patrick Bonin, spiky hair, and Nova Scotia Senator Mary Coyle. The interesting thing is that while the two cabinet ministers' time in Belém was very short, we were able to join other organizations in civil society who were pushing for greater ambition and coherence in Canada's claim for climate leadership. And top of mind was, at the time in November, the news coming from Canada on new pipelines. So Orsi, especially Genevieve, had the opportunity to speak up and address the chief negotiator, Jean-Mary Holston, on the Belém Action Mechanism, in pressing with some important questions on how Canada is going to support the coordination process designed to align that mechanism with the climate goals here locally. But unfortunately, I think one of the most painful disconnections that we witnessed was Canada's silence and almost all of the main issues in COP30. It was disappointing, and one of the pictures you see there at the top is Minister De Bruijn is speaking about the leadership that Canada has had in the methane regulations, in the promises of that also to help in the global space with reduction of emission of methane. But this is all news. Methane and climate finance monies are not new to this conversation, but obviously it seemed like Minister was highlighting it as something remarkable. So it seems there was quite of a denial in how Canada's international role has changed. Our leaders were still talking as if Canada is still a peace builder, an environmental leader, and a defender of human rights. So it did become clear for us that although they understand the urgency of the crisis, the climate crisis, our leaders still remaining hesitant when climate actions begins to challenge systems tied to extraction, economic growth, and geopolitical interests. Next slide, please. So I think this is why we think the faith community's perspective and civil society matters in these spaces, because we bring an extra moral ground into the conversation that is not only based on our faith, but is also based in the interactions and the work that faith communities do with frontline communities. So we think that civil society and faith communities engagement matters in these spaces because as we experience ourselves, one of the most important and transformative conversations didn't came out of the negotiating rooms, the official sites, but it actually came through side events where we gather. We have events from civil society organizations and faith communities. And this is where we noticed a strong Catholic coordinated presence this time. There was also interreligious services like tapiri around the areas around Pará and Belém, bringing these social movements together, bringing indigenous people together, so taking a lot of space. And the other part, it's how Global South delegates, including the Global South bishops, spoke namely clear that the climate crisis is not separate from histories of extraction, debt, unequal trade, and land dispossession. The document you see in the left side of your screen from the Global South bishops, a call for climate justice in the common home, was actually the foundation for the panel side event where I participated and where the bishops spoke about ecological debt and call on the global north countries on taking on responsibility for that debt. I happened to be a speaker at that side event where we were trying to give a response to the document and how we're going to use this document in our local domestic advocacy here in Canada. And for me, one of the moments that became very personal was hearing the bishops themselves talking about how some countries actually contributed less to climate crisis, and yet they're paying the higher costs. And I share my experience as a binational person, a Honduran Canadian, and I share some of my experience actually living firsthand Hurricane Mitch, Eta, and Iota in different stages of my life. And I did some of the reflections of how that's had impacted my country, Honduras. And that reminded me that hearing faith leaders talking about this and also collectively doing these demands with us, that faith in our personal lives is not outside of climate advocacy, that we can bring on these experiences and these beliefs and that we can be heard. So the last few slides, I think what this experience taught me, among the frustration of understanding this international politics is, okay, now what? Right now, knowing this, how we're gonna carry on, how we're gonna move forward when we go back to Canada. So I'm gonna move to the next slide, and I think I wanted to highlight one of the most, I think, helpful developments that connected to COP30 was the announcement of what was mentioned before, the International Conference on the Phase Out of Fossil Fuels in Santa Marta, Colombia, which just happened in April this year. And I think this conference was significant because it recognized the frustration of the COP30 in terms of getting a consensus of saying yes or no to transition away from fossil fuel. But more than that, this conference has a recognition that we have to move beyond the vague climate language and begin seriously planning for a fossil fuel phase out. So it's not really to say that this conference it's outside COP30, but it's a complementary to that space. And it basically contributes to COP30 President's roadmap. But what it's looking for is that we accelerate the practical elements of phasing out fossil fuel. So really, it's not a negotiating body. That's not what the conference is about. And it's really important to understand that. I will share in the link a website where it explains a little bit more what the conference was and what was not, right? Because what it really is the first implementation-focused conference. So intends to support practical action by those countries already prepared to move forward in the transition. So this conference brought about 57 countries in April, but also importantly, it brought academics, indigenous movements, civil society organizations, faith communities, about 1,300 participants. And what they really discussed was the legal, economical, and social pathways towards the transition, how we're going to move into that direction. And Orsi, sorry, I'm going ahead of time. I'm about to wrap up. Orsi has joined at the time before the conference an open letter asking Canada to attend the conference, and Canada did attend. Unfortunately, the minister was not there. There was only a delegation of negotiators, but it's important to remind that. So looking ahead, the next conference after this Colombia conference is going to be in Tuvalu, and it's sponsored by Tuvalu in Ireland. And as you know, Tuvalu also is very symbolic space because its very existence is threatened by climate change. It has been said that it might not even exist by the year 2100. So this is also very important to understand. So Orsi will join Canadian Action Network call next week in order to look up about the next steps for advocacy based on the outcomes of this conference. We don't have time to explain the outcomes, specifics that came from the conference, but I will add a link where they're detailed there. So one more point.
You have soon to wrap up, Saskia?
Yes, I have 1
Okay.
minute. Is that okay? Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. So as we mentioned before, I think in light of the conference, it's important also to highlight the Global South second manifesto on our common home, which is actually calling on governments to attend the conference in Santa Marta in the past, right? But it's also supporting that governments need to support the fossil fuel treaty in those lines. So lastly, I have one more slide. In this one, I think it was very important to highlight. The Laudato Si coming with the Catholic theological reflection on the proposal for a fossil fuel treaty initiative is showing us clearly why the church should engage in this proposal of the fossil fuel treaty initiative, and is giving us the theological groundwork we need to use in our advocacy domestically and globally. And I think it's a resource we need to use in our briefings moving forward. So I think this is the unique aspect that Catholics can bring to this conversation and to our advocacy. And my last slide speaks to why this type of documents give me hope, because I think that among the frustrations with international politics in COP30, for me, there was a new understanding of how faith communities play an important role and how they can bring a unique voice and a moral legitimacy to this conversation. So the question for me, and Genevieve is going to touch into this, is having these resources provided, how we are going to organize, how we're going to advocate and be solidary in this moment so we can take on these actions that these documents are calling us for. Thank you. I'm sorry, I went a little bit over time there.
Okay. I do want to say that we have between now and 3 o'clock for Genevieve's presentation, and we won't really have as much time as I'd hoped for questions. But if people do have questions on what Saskia presented, please put them in the chat. And if we don't get to them this afternoon, we will write you back in an email with some answers. Okay. There will also be breakout room later, but I want to give space now for Genevieve's presentation about what this means for us in Canada. Jen.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to jump on Saskia's question. How are our communities going to organize, accompany, and advocate and build solidarity in this moment today? So 10 years after the publication of Laudato Si, we're living through a particularly rough historic moment. We've got several crises that are intersecting and reinforcing each other. The climate crisis, the growing economic equality, the armed conflicts, and increasing militarization of our societies. And these documents, not these documents, but the news also reminds us of floods, droughts, forced displacements, and social divisions. And these realities can really leave us powerless. But today, I would invite us to look at another way of looking at this reality, which is very similar to what we heard Anna started off with. And the question is, what if this difficult era were also an invitation to rethink our relationship with the earth and with ourselves? Climate change is not only an environmental problem, it reflects a collective moral failure rooted in false models of development, unchecked power, and the refusal to accept limits. For a long time, our economic and cultural model has taught us to view the earth primarily as a resource to exploit, something to own, extract, and consume. Slide change. Real solutions require a renewal of our relationships with creation, a profound ecological conversion, interdisciplinary responses, and the big one, courageous structural change. And at this moment, we're being called to live differently. No longer through this logic of economic, cultural, and spiritual domination, but through a renewed relationship of solidarity with people and planet. And today, I want to propose one simple idea, that addressing the climate crisis isn't about individual actions. It also requires active citizen and community participation to bring these bold and courageous structural changes to life. And in a democracy like ours, that means speaking with our elected representatives, asking questions, advocating for human rights, and building relationships with our neighbors and our members of parliament. Because political decisions directly influence our environment, the cost of living, agriculture, transportation, housing, and importantly, the quality of life of future generations. Change slides. The breakdown of relationships. Climate crisis is not just about hotter weather or greenhouse gases. It reveals the breakdown of relationships. Breakdowns between human beings and nature, between the rich and the poor, between the present and future. And as we know, those who contribute the least to carbon emissions are those who suffer the most: vulnerable populations, Indigenous peoples, countries in the global south, and future generations. So the climate crisis is a matter of justice. We have to move from a culture of always more to a culture of enough. And that requires an inner transformation as much as an external one. Because at its core, responding to the climate crisis means asking the essential question: what is a good life? Is it accumulating more or living with enough, with strong communities, with a sense of belonging and responsibility? It also means understanding that we are part of a larger system, larger systems, social, cultural, here's the cat, social, cultural, environmental, and others, and recognizing how these systems shape our lives. And to live fully, we recognize the different forms of discrimination that can overlap and make life difficult for some people. This awareness helps us overcome the obstacles faced by marginalized people and work together to overcome them. But getting right back down to it, how can we make a concrete impact in our daily lives? Next slide. And I've let the slides be in French for our Francophone colleagues. But our individual choices have three different types of power: direct power, choices with real impact like eating more local and plant-based food, buying less, many of the things you all know and do already. They don't save the planet, but they reduce our collective footprint. But number two is this lifestyle dimension, when our habits influence others. When we start composting, repairing objects, buying secondhand items, it can inspire conversations and create new social norms. And cultural change begins at a small scale. We know that in climate debates, people are clinging more strongly to their own identities rather than factual evidence. Climate scientists are frustrated because this political polarization makes it hard to agree on what is a fact. But we know solutions that can respond to several problems at once. We know these. We know the circular economy, a just transition, respect for Indigenous rights, debt cancellation, climate action, and paying our fair share. The most important work happens where inner and outer change meets, creating an opening for real transformation. And this is where religious congregations and faith communities and parishes can work together to remove the obstacles that undermine our efforts to live an integral ecology. But the third form, and this is the one I really want to bring home today, the third form of power is political power, the individual and collective dynamic that becomes political power when we build local networks of influence, when we gain credibility with decision makers, when we form organized citizen groups and engage in citizen lobbying with elected officials. Every personal action becomes a stone in the collective structure we're building, creating a circle where individual changes grow into tangible political transformation. Change sides. So, why does this matter? Meetings with elected leaders are important because elected leaders need to hear the voices of people other than corporations or economic pressure groups. They are organized, they have lobbyists, they have a lot of money. But citizens, community groups, parishes, and peoples of faith bring another voice, the voice of the common good. When citizens meet with their elected representatives, they remind them that political decisions can't just serve the short-term economy, they also bring justice between generations. Number two, elected officials remember organized groups. One person on their own may seem marginal, but a parish delegation, a community group, brings much more attention, especially when there's a clear request and a relationship over time. The key word here is relationship. Regular meetings with your MP to say, we are engaged citizens, we are people of faith, and we want to work with you for the common good. Third, political change rarely comes only from above. We know this. Major historical transformations comes from the bottom. Social protections, civil rights, environment protections, workers' rights. Climate change is going to require that civic mobilization. So what can the parish do concretely? You can organize meetings with elected officials, municipal, provincial, federal levels, not just during elections, but throughout the year, to talk about the things that are important to you: public transportation, land protection, support for vulnerable people, food security, to say, we are engaged citizens. We want to understand. We want to dialogue, and we want to contribute to the common good. And this is exactly why speaking with our elected members matters. Next slide. As part of my recent work with the Turn Debt into Hope campaign, with many of you were involved in, I collaborated with Development and Peace in Kairos. And we worked hard to try to convince a minister, a member of parliament, a parliamentary secretary, a government representative, basically anyone, to meet with us to receive the 72,000 signatures signed by Canadians, the signatures from the petition. For months, we wrote letters, we wrote emails, we made phone calls, and we were not getting anywhere. We couldn't access a minister's office. We changed course and we moved to a different strategy. We asked our local members to meet with their MPs in the local space to speak about the campaign and to ask them if they would present these petition demands in the House of Commons. And that is where things started moving. Our most fruitful moment was a meeting between the Sisters of St. Joseph of Toronto and their MP, who's also a parliamentary secretary for foreign affairs. Before that meeting, we had very little hope, but thanks to that one single conversation, the doors opened. We went in hoping for one thing, and we left with three. The MP agreed to present the petition in Parliament. He agreed to join us on Parliament Hill to receive the petitions, and then third said he'd be happy to host a parliamentary breakfast for MPs on the issue of debt and its impact on countries in the global south. Every single thing changed because of the local relationship between citizens and their elected representative. And besides, sisters are the most persuasive lobbyists imaginable. No one can deny their extraordinary contribution to building our communities. Next slide. This is us on the Hill. Here we have a picture of Rob Oliphant, the MP, who received the petition, speaking with a young woman from Toronto who traveled down for the rally specifically. Now, I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to shorten my next bit. What I want to say is we've got major things on the table. We've got Bill C-5, federal legislation that is accelerating certain projects in the national interest. Remember this? In the national interest. And those national interests are being identified as energy, mining, and transportation. What we need to do is to meet with our local MP and ask some really smart questions. Like, how can projects be accelerated without weakening environmental protections? Or how can we make sure that local communities are being genuinely consulted? Or how can we reconcile this economic development with the responsibility towards future generations? Because you can be concerned about the economy, concerned about jobs, committed to the environment, and attentive to the common good. All those things come together. We do not meet with our elected representatives because we have all the answers. We meet with them because we have important questions to ask on behalf of our communities and on behalf of our common good. So we can concretely ask, next slide, how will you ensure this project or any project that's being accelerated, whether it's a pipeline or a dam or the like, how will you ensure this project still respects climate commitments, still respects local communities and Indigenous rights? And we want to work with you to get to a point where we can ensure that our climate justice commitments are still being met. The cat's attacking my notes. The big thing that we've got going forward is an opportunity to work together, to build relationships, ask our MPs to meet with us regularly, and with that, bring the seed of hope to where we live and to where we work and to where we work for the common good. Next slide. We believe that it is possible to build a society that's more just, more sustainable, and more inclusive. This is a photo from our rally on the Hill. And here you see what I love. This is a mix of lay people and religious, young people, older people, men and women, parishioners and pastors, all coming together to put people before profit. And they're happy to be there because we are learning step by step that with every conversation we have with our neighbor about our changes and with our MP, that we're able to make an impact towards the future of Laudato Si in action in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saskia and Genevieve. You've got so much experience behind you. You've listened to people in Canada and to people from around the world when you were in COP30, but also through your involvement with organizations like Development and Peace and many religious communities. So I would like the people here listening to hold some of these things in your mind right now while we take a bit of a pivot. We have 5 people on standby from across Canada who are going to give very short witness to what's been happening in their areas. I'll briefly introduce them all together here, and then I will call on each of you to tell us about your location. Sister Denise Lirette is from Moncton, New Brunswick, and she is working with the diocese there to bring Laudato Si to life in the Diocese of Moncton. Michelle Fish is a teacher, public storyteller, and Laudato Si animator, also founder of the Diocese of Sherbrooke Laudato Si Circle. Brother Bill Carruthers is in Port Colborne, Ontario. He's been involved for over 10 years as founder and administrator of Jericho House. Mary Cordero, a dear friend of mine, has been enacting Laudato Si before the encyclical came out. So Mary has been for more than 10 years working on environmental and social justice work in the city of Hamilton. And Margaret O'Donnell is in Victoria, British Columbia. She was the founder of Oasis Society in 2006, an oasis for spiritual health in downtown Victoria. Each of them has a story to tell. They will only spend 2 minutes each, but it is very helpful to hear what is happening across the country. Denise, are you ready to talk about your presentation? And we do have 4 slides for Denise as well.
Good day, everyone. I first met with the Archbishop Valery Viano in June 2021 to ask him if I could create a couple of Laudato Si committees, one in French and one in English. And the only thing he asked of me said, do not give any extra work to the priests. Okay, fine. So from there, we created a mission statement and our goals that I sent to Agnes, if anybody's interested. So slide number 2. The first activity we did in June 2021 was to have a prayer ritual to hang the earth ball in my church. It's a 3-foot diameter earth ball. And we have 2 banners. There's a beam that you don't see at the top there. One that says, I can't even see what it says here. And God saw that it was very good. And on the other side is care for our common home. So every year we hang the earth ball on April 22nd. We have a little ritual with the people in the church, and we take it down for Advent and Lenten seasons. The next slide. So some of the activities that we have been doing, like I said, the mission statement and goals. We did prepare a PowerPoint presentation using the Genesis story, something that was familiar for the people, and then how we are treating the earth today. So that was in French and in English. We've used the Laudato Si video series by Daniel Horan and one video series by Kevin Moynihan from Halifax Production. We did presentations on ecological conversion and integral ecology. We used the work of Thomas Berry for a Lenten retreat, where a lot of people don't know who he is and why he's so important. He was a specialist in human-earth relations and how we treat the earth today. So this is why the work of Thomas Berry is so important. Last fall, we built a peace pole with our youth group because the season of creation was around peace. We've done the cosmic walk with different groups in the parish in French and English. We have been doing it for the last 4 years with our confirmation class, and we did it once with a group of university students at Mount A in Sackville. Last fall, I did some short presentations before Mass because a lot of the activities we don't get a lot of people. So I tried a different approach, and it was very interesting, the response of the people. So since last year was a year of anniversaries, the 25th of the Earth Charter, the 10th anniversary of Laudato Si, the action plan, plus the Jubilee year and the COP30, I was able to bring all of these together and to show people how the Catholic Church has been involved in building all of this throughout the decades. Last year for World Water Day, Father Phil Mulligan, the parish priest, is on my Laudato Si committee. So he agreed that he wouldn't have a homily that Sunday around World Water Day. So we played the video, Listen, Water Has a Message, which was very powerful for some of the people in the pews.
Sister Denise?
Yes?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave space for the other presenters.
Okay.
Is it okay that
Yes.
if I move up the lead? Thank you so much. There are many
No
things that you have
problem.
on this slide that we could delve into. And I will share your things with our listeners after the event. Michelle Fish, are you all set to tell us about what's happening in Sherbrooke, Quebec?
Certainement, certainement. Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Alors, voici des petites nouvelles de ce qui s'est passé l'an passé au Québec et plus spécifiquement à Sherbrooke. Alors, au niveau très local, le cercle Laudato Si de Brompton est très fier d'avoir réalisé l'année passée, pour le cri de la terre, la semaine Laudato Si autour du thème de l'eau. Pour le cri des pauvres, la mission sans-abri qui consistait à collecter des produits d'hygiène, savon, shampoing et des gants et des bas a connu un tel engagement que nous avons rempli 2 pick-up rouges complets de matériel qui a été distribué aux sans-abri un petit peu avant Noël. Et enfin, avec comme thème de l'année la rencontre de l'autre, le cercle Laudato Si de Brompton anime une messe communautaire le 4e dimanche de chaque mois. Au niveau diocésain maintenant, le diocèse, l'archevêché de Sherbrooke a la chance d'avoir un comité diocésain d'écologie intégrale. Alors, ce qui s'est passé l'année passée, ça a été une évaluation énergétique de l'ensemble des bâtiments de l'évêché. Et tenez-vous bien, ce qui coûte le plus cher en carbone, c'est toutes les autos des paroissiens et des paroissiennes qui viennent assister à la cathédrale. Du coup, on a décidé de faire le projet La cathédrale se met au vert, où on a supprimé des places de stationnement. On a dégoudronné avec des élèves des 2 écoles secondaires proches des places de stationnement qu'on a transformées en jardins écologiques. Il y a aussi la collecte des chaussettes pour le mois de la Terre. Plus de 520 livres de chaussettes usagées, orphelines, mais propres, ont été récupérés pour être recyclés et retransformés en chaussettes, en vêtements ou en meubles. On a aussi organisé le parcours Amos sur l'écologie, sur la justice sociale avec des étudiantes et des étudiants de l'Université de Sherbrooke. Et on les a invités à la fin du carême à s'inscrire à l'animation Laudato Si. Eh bien, 3 étudiants de l'Université de Sherbrooke sont en train de terminer leur formation Laudato Si et leur projet première graine est de former un cercle Laudato Si dans la paroisse à côté de l'Université de Sherbrooke, ce qui fait que nous aurons un deuxième cercle Laudato Si à Sherbrooke. Et fin mai, c'est-à-dire la semaine prochaine, nous célébrerons la semaine Laudato Si en invitant les 36 paroisses de notre diocèse à planter un arbre le dimanche 31 en signe de solidarité, de paix et d'hommage à la création. Et finalement, au niveau plus provincial ou plus largement, il y a le désir naissant d'un chapitre Laudato Si francophone. En fait, un petit comité de 5 personnes venant de Sherbrooke, de Québec et de Montréal se sont réunis pour essayer d'organiser une rencontre virtuelle de toutes les femmes et les hommes qui exercent un leadership écologiste inspiré par la foi au Québec. Une première rencontre a eu lieu et une douzaine de personnes étaient présentes et étaient vraiment très heureuses de se retrouver, même virtuellement. D'où se pose la question de la nécessité de trouver du financement pour pouvoir soutenir ce mouvement naissant, ce désir de se rassembler pour créer un mouvement, avec le lien avec évidemment le mouvement Laudato Si Canada. Alors Laudato Si, merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Exciting things are happening in your area of the country. I now call on Brother Bill Carruthers, and he is from Jericho House.
Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Agnes, for a chance to chat about things happening in the epicenter of Ontario, Wainfleet, Ontario, a small community next to Port Colborne on the banks of Lake Erie. What I'd like to talk about briefly today is our Care for the Common Home Retreat. It's our 5th annual. And the idea of this retreat came out of my training as a Laudato Si animator, one of the projects that would be done at the end of the training period. And so Agnes, myself, and Sister Jackie Keefe put together a series of retreats, one per year, based on the Laudato Si action platform. This year, we put together both sustainable lifestyle and ecological spirituality. The purpose is mainly to develop community amongst folks that are involved in Laudato Si or broadly in the environmental movement. We try to leave space for time for people to reflect or sleep or read or walk. So it's not a packed weekend. It's a very gentle weekend. And the people are not, we don't call them presenters, we call them conversation leaders, because everyone there is involved in one way or another. And the beautiful thing that's developed over the 5 years or the 4 years has really been a sense of community. And so we're delighted with that. The added dimension this year is we've worked very hard to make it not only interfaith or ecumenical, I should say, but also interfaith. So a gentleman from the Jewish faith will be speaking or leading a conversation. A woman from the Buddhist religion will be leading a conversation. We have a person we're hoping from the Muslim tradition will be joining us also. So it's really a rich time of sharing and community building. Thank you for the opportunity to share this with you, and let's enjoy together the rest of our time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Bill. As always, I look forward to those retreats. It's a really wonderful, heart heart support. I now call on Mary Cordero in Hamilton to talk about some of her experiences over the last many years working towards Laudato Si. Hi, Mary. You have to unmute yourself. Usually at the very bottom of your screen on the far left-hand side, there's a little microphone, and it will show green if you're on, and it has a red cross if you're off. So just click on it.
I see that she's unmuted, but it looks like there's a potential challenge.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead and speak now, Mary. We cannot hear you.
Well, actually, Mary, if it's all right, I have a printout of what you sent me. Can I read it out for you? Okay, good. Thank you. So, Mary is part of Regina Mundi Parish in Hamilton. In that parish, heat pumps were installed several years ago in order to create energy savings. They have a green venue, and on this May 24th, people attend a green venture walk through water gardens and native plants. Lots of great questions were asked, and people showed a lot of interest. They've had retreats at Regina Mundi. The first one, spreading the gospel of creation, had 25 participants, and that generated a lot of interest in Laudato Si. There are youth groups there. This spring, 2 activities on water awareness and conservation were present.
A few times.
I think there's someone else who needs to mute. They had a season of creation bottle drive, and they collected a significant amount of bottles and were able to translate them into cash that was then given to Good Shepherd's Men Shelter for food. They've collected batteries and eyeglasses. They've been doing this since 2011 with, get this, 1,590 pounds of batteries so far collected and 1,718 pairs of eyeglasses that were donated through the Lions Club to be given to developing countries. They have newsletters and an eco corner. They have a Marian garden. And with this, they give out information about the significance of the flowers there in the garden that are gifted with Mary in mind, in the hopes that some will be included on people's own property. And this year, during the Jubilee year of St. Francis, they put out pamphlets to bring awareness to the saints' love of creation. They have participated and organized ecological stations of the cross outdoors, and they have a regular program of collecting and sorting garbage so that it goes into the right directions in the city of Hamilton. Mary, I'm sorry that your sound didn't work for us today, but we recognize that there's been a lot of work spearheaded by you and your team at Regina Mundi. Thank you for that. And our last spotlight is from out west. Margaret O'Donnell is going to speak to us about things in Victoria.
Thank you, Agnes. Thank you, everybody. My little Laudato Si story has 3 chapters, and chapter 1 is 2022. I lived then the wonder of completing the training program and receiving the certificate, but failure was lurking at the door. The one who championed my seed project left town. The associates I thought who said yes said no when implementation time drew near, and ones I thought would love the film The Letter didn't. I wasn't prepared for the experience of failure that was lurking at the door. I was bitten by feelings of being lost. Chapter 2, 2023 to 2026. This failure cast me into a kind of womb of waiting. Now, I joined a monthly Laudato Si circle based in Raleigh, North Carolina. I rose in the middle of the night and watched the COP meetings in the Middle East and Belém. I kept up with Laudato Dei, El Deum Dilexite, and the Manifesto of the Churches of the Global South. And now I have the document Integral Ecology in the Life of the Family. As I could, I followed the Raising Hope conference in Castle Gandolfo. I witnessed so much movement in the Laudato Si movement and found so attractive the way the leadership, for example, you, Agnes, and Anna, and Lorna, and Yebs, and the way you move yourselves forward and by this propel the movement forward. What I put here, I wrote this days ago, waiting awakens my wanting in any way I can to do my part in reversing the trajectory towards environmental collapse. I myself chose to move forward. Chapter 3, 2026. I'm just retaking the Laudato Si movement training course again. It's wonderful. It had me reread the encyclical Laudato Si, which is astonishing. Subsequently, the new guardian at the St. Joseph Friary said yes to support me and my seed project. And so did the Bishop Gary. And actually, this morning we had a gathering of a dozen people, and the bishop actually sent the vicar. All the friars were there. There were three very fine young adults and the rest of us. And so we blessed the beginnings, the beginnings were blessed. And so it's a matter of trust, the whole thing. Myself carrying lightly in my flesh both fear of failure and intuition, and recognizing that others' gifts are needed for our circle to mature. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. And I'm wishing you a very happy birthday. Today is Margaret's birthday.
80
and she
seconds.
had a full program this morning, and she's with us this afternoon. Okay.
Thank you, Agnes.
We are, look at all the celebrations. We now want to move into breakout rooms. We have three questions, and Anna, if you could put those slides up. I will also ask you to, once you've got that slide there, I will read the slides while we read the questions while you're finding them there, Anna. The first question is, what can we do in our diocese to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and promote a just energy transition that includes protection for workers, communities, and countries who are dependent on fossil fuel? The second question, what message can we send or action can we take to encourage our governments to prohibit new fossil fuel extraction and actively participate in the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative? And the third question, there are many aspects to an ecological conversion of our lifestyles and society. What action can we organize with others in our location to actively care for creation? Now, we don't have a lot of time for our breakout room, 15 minutes, so we don't expect you to delve into all of these questions. Choose one, discuss them amongst yourselves in your group. Each group should have one facilitator to help move you along, and those people know who they are. Anna, do you have any suggestions on how the breakout rooms will be divided?
Yes, so we have 2 rooms that will be in French And then the other ones will be by region, although some facilitators, you will not be in the region you live within, but the rest of you should be in the right region. There's a couple of you who will remain in the main room, then I can help assign you once you can tell me which region you're in. Are we
Okay.
ready to send them, Agnes?
It's 3:30. It's 3:30 now. Let's take 15 minutes and then we'll have a race to the end for the last little bit of things we're going to do. So yes, hold tight. Anna's going to divide us up right now.
Have wonderful conversations.
What I can do now, we have 15 minutes left. I might ask just two facilitators to see if they can put together a very short synopsis of what they heard in their group. Let's see who I could call on. Greg Kennedy, are you able to tell us what happened in your group?
Certainly. We had a few geographical outliers. We were supposed to be the French, the Quebec English speakers, but we had one from London and one from Guelph. So, quickly, we focused on the third question, and the MP, using our voice with both provincial and federal members of parliament, but not just alone, but with ecological groups, but also inviting like other Catholic groups, the youth groups, St. Vincent de Paul, Knights of Columbus, and really pushing forward the fossil fuel treaty. And then liking that suggestion of not just a one-off meeting, but regular meetings with the MP. Notions of ritual, like important rituals, so that hanging of earth ball and things that could speak to different communities within a parish was thought that would be helpful. And then finally getting people actually to talk about how we use energy within the parish. I've also heard of people having like heat pump parties, because heat pumps are really quite a relatively new and effective technology that is not, as opposed to like geothermal costs a lot of money. Heat pumps are quite quick, so that could be part of having a party, so people actually recognize that these are viable and fairly inexpensive options. Thanks.
Oh, fantastic ideas were shared there. I'm going to call on a Francophone breakout facilitator. Sister Danielle, can you share with us what happened in your group?
Oui, Agnès, pourquoi j'avais deviné que tu allais m'appeler? Alors, c'était
When you come
intéressant.
back, excuse me, when people come back from their breakout rooms, they need to reset their interpretation settings. So I'm reminding you of that so that we can each hear in our own language. Okay, go ahead, Danielle.
Alors, dans notre groupe, nous avions des personnes de différents horizons. On a mentionné comment est-ce que poser des gestes concrets, c'était parfois même difficile au niveau local. On a parlé beaucoup du traité de non-prolifération des combustibles fossiles, qu'il y avait des actions à faire de ce côté-là, tant au plan individuel qu'au plan institutionnel et ecclésial. Et on avait quelqu'un de l'Alberta qui mentionnait tout l'enjeu de l'exploitation des combustibles fossiles, comment c'est un enjeu qui divise. Et là aussi, on mentionnait comment est-ce que les enjeux étant tellement complexes que c'est difficile de trouver quoi faire pour vraiment changer la donne, changer le cours des choses. Alors, grosso modo, ce sont les aspects dont on a parlé dans notre groupe.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, rich conversations happened there as well. And, there's no doubt that there are different considerations that have stronger impact in different parts of the country. And this is where the Laudato Si movement recognizes that, I recognize that national campaigns are not necessarily the best way to go sometimes, because the individual response in a particular municipality or rural area is more important and sometimes more effective than what we can do nationally, even though we have in our minds and we were presented with the bigger picture that we heard about earlier in this meeting. So that's always there present with us, but we're also looking for ways on how we can activate things in our own communities. So right now, before I forget, I'm going to ask everyone, if you have your video off, please put it on. I'm going to ask Anna to take a set of group photographs so that we can record that we were all here today and see each other's smiling faces. So Anna, are you okay to do that?
Yes, absolutely. So, but you all will be organized in different ways. So please just smile and keep smiling. We all want to see your beautiful faces. So here's the first one.
This is fantastic. She probably has a few screens to flip through. That's great. We should be singing while we're doing this. It's so quiet.
Great. All done.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I wanted to say is that Anna will post in the chat box here, and we will send it out again afterwards as well, an evaluation feedback form about today's event. So that's coming. And now, Anna, I will just ask you to go to the fossil fuels treaty slide for me.
There's still one group that you didn't go see, huh? Agnes?
I know that there are some breakout groups that I didn't ask because we don't have time. But if you wanted to put in the chat, if you a couple of things that maybe rose to the surface in your group and I didn't call you to speak, we could capture it from the chat box if that's okay. Thank you.
That feedback would be incredibly helpful, I think. Yes. So please do put that into the chat.
Because I know that we're running short on time. So in the group that I was in, there was interest in the what's happening next with the fossil fuel treaty. There will be in September. We are invited, if we so wish, to take part in a symposium where people's voices from around the world are gathered around some of the topics that have risen to the top. Now, again, it was stressed that this is not the same type of organization as the United Nations, but the people that are there engaging in this process are willing and wanting to work on this thing. And if we want to hear or have our voices part of it, here's an invitation where we can do that. If you go to the next slide, please, Anna. This is a reminder to everyone here that the season of creation, September 1 to October 4, is also this year's theme is living water. That's very relevant to us in Canada for a couple of reasons. You'll be seeing in one of my next newsletters a very successful blessing of the water ceremony that we had in Cornwall, Ontario. But we have so much water that we're blessed with in Canada. It should be relatively easy for us to come up with an idea that can connect with living water as the theme for Season of Creation this year. And we certainly have relationship issues or concerns about Indigenous people who may not still have clean water where they live, or they are advocating for the protection of water for whatever reason, tailings ponds that are overflowing and contaminating water, or the process of development of a nuclear waste site that is arguably too close to life-giving water systems. So there are many ways that we in Canada can connect with the living water season of creation theme. Next slide, please, Anna. And then, of course, the reminder that Pope Leo has made this year a Jubilee year recognizing the 800th anniversary of St. Francis of Assisi, and his feast day is, of course, October 4th. So I know that in some areas, pilgrimages are being organized to recognize both season of creation and St. Francis's devotion to rejuvenating our church and taking care of the natural world. So these things are all coming together, and they can be inspirational touch points for planning things to come ahead in the future. Okay, one more slide. This is an invitation to become involved with the Laudato Si movement in Canada in a more specific way. We have some vacancies on our advisory circle, and I invite people who might be interested in joining that circle to send me an email. You can connect to me through the email processes by which you heard about this event today. I have a young person that will be working with me this summer to set up a volunteer policy. So keep your radar tuned for the possibility of other ways to volunteer in a concrete way with the Laudato Si movement in Canada. And of course, all of this does require some core support and funding. You heard Michelle Fish also is pursuing ideas with the bishops to fund some of the work that's happening in Quebec. Likewise, a little of assistance on the national level will be grateful as well. I wanted to remind everyone that this meeting has been recorded. It will take us a little while to clean it up a bit and get it onto the Faith in the Common Good YouTube channel. But once that's ready, I will send everybody who's registered here a link to the meeting, and you can share it with others. I will also share resources that have been discussed in this meeting or put forward. We'll capture our comments from the chat, and if you haven't clicked and opened those in your own browser, we will have links to those resources as well. And finally, on a little bit of an uncomfortable note, Facebook has shut down the MLSM Canada webpage. Not quite sure why. We don't have access to it anymore. So if you have been looking there for news, rest assured, I will be working with Faith in the Common Good to set up a new Facebook page, but for a little while it will be quiet. Look into our Laudato Si Movement Dialogues newsletter to see when a new Facebook page will be activated and how to find it. So that brings us near to the end. Anna, is there anything else that you would like to add?
It has just been so wonderful to be with you all today. Thank you for taking the time to join for this call. We all know this call to care for our common home is becoming increasingly urgent. We're seeing the impacts on those who are most vulnerable at an accelerating pace. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it's easy for me to feel very fearful and to feel to edge on that hopelessness. But we know from being people of faith who believe in a God who died and came back to life that creation is always unfolding. And I gain great hope from each of you because this is how God continues to move through the world today. And we're all working together to care for God's common home as we walk. Thank you. Please take this prophetic action. Reach out to your MPs and your bishops around the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty. Reach out around all of this continuing to move forward. And thank you for the work that you're all doing. It is the power of the movement is because of each of you and people just like you around the world and us coming together, tens of thousands, to care for our common home. It is a gift to be with each of you for this time today. You've given me great hope. I hope you're walking away with great hope as well. And we look forward to continuing to walk together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. This morning, there was a very beautiful commissioning ceremony for Laudato Si animators out of Rome. And I want to share with you a brief excerpt of a prayer from Sister Mamalifar Pareku, who is the Executive Secretary of Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation for the International Union of Superiors General. This is just a portion of it, but I think it's a good way to end our meeting, especially because we are on Pentecost weekend. Dear God, we pray for the gifts of the Holy Spirit across the face of the earth and to renew the hearts of believers throughout the world. Send your Spirit to renew our minds and guide our wills so that the fire of your love may kindle within us. Holy Spirit, breathe new life within us. Grant us a true ecological conversion. Help us reflect honestly in our lives to recognize our neglect towards creation and to grow in wisdom, responsibility, and care. Teach us to listen with clarity and respond in your truth. Guide us to respond with concrete support, protect the vulnerable, heal what is harmed, and stand with those who suffer the consequences of injustice. Father of mercy, we thank you for the work you have placed into our hands. As we recommit to action through what we have planned, registered, and offered, let your grace make our efforts become fruitful. We ask this through Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in unity with the Holy Spirit forever and ever. Amen. Happy Pentecost, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Agnes.
Merci beaucoup.
You're
Bonne
very
route.
welcome.
Bonne
Thank
fête de
you.
Pentecôte.
Grazie.
Thank you, Father Vincent.
Thank you. Kind of you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everyone.